So, no longer holding the entire fucking microphone stand, as I was for some reason doing in the last two recordings. We do learn from our mistakes here at Oro Incorporated. Oh dear, okay. Hello friends, kind strangers, assorted creatures. Welcome to the Demiurge Diaries. I'm not the sort of person who can consume media naively, that is to say, for itself, using only the tools and lines of flight it directly offers. It all becomes a commentary on the last thing, or about the general state of my mind at any given moment. The 1976 movie Network offered great commentary upon a little film called Prologue to Actualize, which I consider to be the single best video on YouTube. It's also a phenomenal preemptive explanation of this book, which I should have maybe grabbed off the shelf, Jesus Christ. Influence, which I consider to be by far the most business bro piece of literature on my shelf. Professor Caldini has CIA in his name, and I think that's very funny for a book ostensibly about psyops. Cut that. Oh, did I mention it was recommended to me by the exceptionally good Harry Potter fanfic of a moderately reputable decision theorist? That's all I have to say on the matter. I don't even like Harry Potter, but I like fanfic, because no other medium so marvelously manages to never be about the thing it's about. Either way, in Network, two characters, Max and Diana, have a discussion about Dave Homestuck's famous assertion that real people don't have character arcs. Oh, this video contains spoilers for Homestuck, Network, Twilight, Robert Cialdini's Influence, J.G. Ballard's Crash, James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake, Cecily Wren's Prologue to Actualize, Elizabeth Sandifer's Neo-Reaction to Basilisk, half the articles on my site, Milk inside a bag of milk inside a bag of milk, Milk outside a bag of milk outside a bag of milk, ContraPoints' Incel video, Sarah Zed's More and Homestuck videos, Jean-Francois Lyotard's Libidinal Economy, House MD, The Beginner's Guide, Bo Burnham's Inside, Heinrich Heine's The Dr. Faust, Aisha Yufara's Piss and Heels, probably more things which I'm forgetting. Don't worry about it. The fear of spoilers is a purely psyops-based neuropathology that needs to be extracted from a collective consciousness immediately. Engaging with a work with prior information just leads you to consume it in a different mode. It might even be a better one. Knowing that a murder will take place in a story heightens the suspense but lowers the shock. Readjusting pressure valves. No more, no less. But you never know whether the spoiled or the unspoiled experience would be more enjoyable to you. Once you've had one, you can never have the other without experiencing brain damage or such. Besides, even if one decided arbitrarily to always pick the unspoiled version, despite not knowing whether this is preferable, and this is stupid, don't do this, that standard still leads you towards really silly places really quickly. Cultural awareness acts the same way as spoilers, in that it gives you info on how any given work might progress. Having consumed something by the same artist or team, or even within the same genre, does this even more strongly. Consuming any art spoils all further art. And possibly more so than targeted spoilers. This is insane. Believing in spoilers is literally a psyop. You are actively harming the diversity of experiences that are being had with a piece of media. You are making the discussion of it more homogeneous and less interesting. Please stop immediately. In fact, let's go a step further. Not only is a colloquial use of the phrase spoilage a nonsense concept when applied to art, a victimless crime if ever there was one, I just don't think that art can be destroyed, period, unless it is wiped from existence along with its memory. The corruption implied by the word spoilage is simply not a process that applies. Let's go for an extreme example, just for funsies. In 1986, Gerard Jan van Bladeren, I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. Actually, I don't care if I'm pronouncing that correctly, fuck that guy, went into a museum in Amsterdam and slashed the abstract painting Who's Afraid of Red, Yellow and Blue 3 by Barnett Newman, in protest of what he considered to not be real art. I hope you can draw the Nazi parallels yourself, like box cutter across canvas. I've seen Newman paintings in person, and do consider them to be real art, but also... don't you think he made it better? Not only do I genuinely like the dynamism of those cuts, I'm always a sucker for aesthetically broken things, but the scars add to the story. They make it so much deeper as a direct expression of that cultural conflict, and then the museum trying and failing to restore it, rebuking the previous manifest assertion that this type of art was easy. Beauty, poetry, dare I say, art. A broken statue still has all the sublime craftsmanship which wrought it. We can easily imagine how it looked whole. That experience is not lost, but through simple corrosion or deliberate iconoclasm, it has also absorbed into itself that history which it has weathered. The damage gives it scale. It connects it palpably to the world we share in a way that feels like falling through time when you stand before it. Numbers and dates, ideas and events find meaning in those alleged blemishes, meaning of such scale that the single person who originally made the piece was far too human to supply it all. The moment art is looked upon, commented upon, acted upon, it becomes communal. It ages like good wine, shifts and transforms. The moment we start to speak about it, it starts speaking about us. Art, if it is not hidden away, can only be added to. I'm not siding with the vandal here, his aim was to destroy, and I'm saying that he failed spectacularly. Look at this modern art, how evocative it is without depicting. It almost should be in a museum, don't you think? Oh yeah, network. Diana is the alliteration-obsessed programming director of a struggling TV network. She gives the terrorists money to film their terrorism because it gets views. Older characters seem to believe that she sees all of human culture and all interpersonal interactions as plot points in a drama, because this medium they helped create infected her mind so deeply that she can now no longer separate reality and fiction. Diana just doesn't seem as shaken as the rest of them about the state of media culture, which must mean that she lacks real emotion. My fellow late millennials and zoomers in the audience, does this feel familiar to you? Me neither. It definitely doesn't feel like a spiritual precursor to Welcome to the Internet. Max, on the other hand, is obviously the person the audience is supposed to root for. He's a self-described romantic, he claims to care for his friend, he doesn't want the network to become a soulless attention generator, commodifying human suffering in order to sell ads. Pretty good shit. Now, he doesn't ever actually help his friend, he cheats on his wife and is a huge asshole to her on top of that. Then he lectures at the woman half his age whom he's having an affair with, that she's been made fundamentally uncaring and incapable of genuine human emotion by the television, before taking off. Max does a lot of lecturing at women, since this is a film from the 1970s, and he just wouldn't be relatable otherwise. Anyway, the point is that Max has the decency to feel bad about all of this. That's how we know that his moral compass is correctly aligned. He's such a good, empathetic, salt of the earth, God-fearing, true American romantic that he feels sorry for all the bad things he does. He just decides to do them anyway, unlike Diana, who is a bad person, because she isn't outwardly miserable enough. And because she's given money to the communists. No, wait, that's good. Diana also tried to save Max's job. She isn't a massive piece of shit towards the people in her life. Wait, why are we hating Diana? Chapter 3.2. Diana isn't evil actually. You've been psyched by the movie's framing. This is just the villain coding part of Reska did nothing wrong and here's why again. So I won't even repeat myself. Just learn to do better. Diana doesn't respond to Max's rant. She just stands there, at the verge of tears, and it's incredibly painful because, yeah, how do you react to that? The person you were dating just told you that they don't consider you to be fully human? That you're just an unfeeling automaton who acts out tropes they've seen on the raid tube? Despite Max's grandstanding about human complexity, he's altercast her into the role of a sociopathic pea-zombie. If she got mad and shouted back, wouldn't she just be doing what the imagined audience expects of her? Wouldn't it be perceived as her doing the argument and checking off another dramatic plot point? There is no out, so she stays silent and lets him leave, reasserting a true personhood that should never have been in doubt in the first place. Or that's my reading. It's very possible that the filmmakers disagree, but I don't really give a shit, because this is much more interesting and much less terrible than if Max was right. If Diana had already been incapable of real human emotion in 1976, what the fuck are our chances? Please let me interpret media wrong, that's literally all I want. It lines up with something Gilles Deleuze and Félix Guattari said about the philosophy of pragmatics. Ask not whether something is true, ask whether it is useful. What can be done with this idea? What new thoughts does it allow one to think? After all, a correct modeling of all the particle interactions which cause weather phenomena would be computationally impossible and entirely useless, while our simplified models, with all their patently wrong assumptions, are useful. Truth does not play into it. Fiction too is untrue by nature, and yet, is there not a plethora of important, load-bearing thoughts it has allowed you to think? More on that another time. Actually, it reminds me. Recently, I met an old woman, believe she was a famous Russian-American author. She said to me in the middle of the grocery store, "You are a remarkably disagreeable person. I fail to see how Deleuze and Guattari can stand you." Exasperated by my polite smile, she added, "What's more, you are insane." I wonder what she meant by this. I just want to interpret media wrong. Daikon is a treasure trove of references no one will get. All my art is that. Literally everything I've ever made is that.